Kairi! Welcome back to my channel, Made Between the Pages. My name is Taylor, and today we're going to be doing my June TBR. In June, I'm going to be doing 2 buddy reads and 1 read-athon. So it's going to be a really busy month. Let's see how it goes. The first buddy read I'm going to be taking part in is the Blackout buddy read created by Books with Shay. This buddy read was created by Shay as an educational safe space for booktubers to come together and read books to educate us on white supremacy and white privilege and how those things have kind of seeped into our society and become systemic problems. These systemic issues are not going to improve or get better until people who benefit from the system, so non-Black people or especially white people, do the work to understand where our privilege comes into play. And these books that Shay chose are designed for people to be able to start that education. And she made it clear that she wanted it to be a space where questions and not understanding exactly everything that you're reading are safe to be able to bring up in that space. And I think that that's very important because while, of course, people should be educating themselves, having a space where questions can be answered is very helpful and may speed along the process, even though they should be willing to do the work on their own. I just realized that I haven't given any context for why this conversation is necessary in case you haven't been aware. But I don't know how you couldn't be aware, but you know, I live in Japan and I know all about it. But my home country of America is in the middle of extreme political unrest. And this is because of the brutality of police and the murder of Black people and many other systemic racist systems that we have in our country, and people have finally had enough. And I'm really fucking glad people have had enough. So for those of you who don't know, the catalyst for this was a man named George Floyd was murdered by a police officer in broad daylight. The police officer was kneeling on his neck for, I've seen different times, but it really doesn't matter if it was 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, it doesn't matter. The police officer kneeled on his neck until he was non-responsive, and then he died as a result. And he was arrested for a non-violent crime, and he was handcuffed on the ground. So this has led to an uprising, riots, and I am cheering everyone on and know that I am with you from across the world. But let me get to the books we're going to be talking about, because now I've talked about the readathon for quite a minute. It's not a readathon, it's buddy read, but I've talked about it for quite a minute, and I would like to actually present the books that we will be reading for this buddy read created by Shay. We will be reading White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo and White Rage by Carol Anderson. So if you have not heard about this buddy read, and if you hadn't added it to your TBR before, I highly recommend you do so, because even if you are not an American citizen, as I am, even if you are abroad permanently or you're not part of American society, racism is prevalent. Even if it's not centered on Black people where you live, racism against another culture is prevalent no matter where you are, and we all need to do the work, especially when we benefit from that system. So I highly recommend that you pick up these books with us and join us in the buddy read. I will link Shay down below. Please go check out her channel. She did not have to set up this buddy read in order to facilitate communication, but she decided to. So please go give her the support and the love that she deserves. So that buddy read and the second buddy read I will be doing are kind of intertwined with the read-a-thon that I will be doing this month. So I'll go over the second buddy read and then go through the read-a-thon and just mention the books that apply within the read-a-thon. So the second buddy read that I will be doing is Red Sister with my friend Hannah over on Cozy Reads. I am so hype for this. I am a fantasy nut. I love fantasy, if you know that's most of my channel, and people have non-stop recommended me the Book of the Ancestor, and I ordered them all from a book depository with the intent of buddy reading Red Sister, the first book in the series, with Hannah last month. But for those of you who live internationally, you will sympathize with me on this. It's taken almost a month and a half to get my books. On top of that, I have received, in order, in this particular order, Grey Sister, about 3 weeks ago in the mail. Holy Sister, 2 weeks ago in the mail. The Girl in the Stars, this absolutely beautiful hardback. Oh, can we just... Yes? About a week ago in the mail. These are the last 3 books in the series. So the original trilogy is Red Sister, Grey Sister, and Holy Sister. And then the second trilogy, which he's just started writing, or a spin-off series, starts with The Girl in the Stars. So I finally got some book mail. I've been waiting for like, I don't know how long, maybe 3 weeks. And I bought the entire Book of the Ancestor series by Mark Lawrence. They're so tiny! I didn't think I was buying mass market paperbacks, but I guess I was. So I'm expecting to love these. So I might have to buy myself a nicer version if I can find them later. But I opened one before I could turn on the camera because I'm so excited. But I only have 2 packages here. So the question is this book 1 or book 3? Because this is book 2. And I would really like to start reading it tonight. Fingers crossed it's book 1. With my luck, it's going to be book 3. Watch it be book 3. It's book 3. Okay, well, I have book 2 and book 3 of the Book of the Ancestor, and I'm excited, but I can't start it yet. So when book 1 gets here, we'll film again. So yeah, these are tiny. Well, if you order the paperbacks from Book Depository, just be aware you're ordering mass market paperbacks. But yeah, yay!
Yay!
We'll check back in when I get book 1 in a week or so. Bye!
Bye! 違うよ。
じゃあね。
じゃあね。
Okay, guys, I finally got another package. How long has it been? Like a week since I got Grey Sister and Holy Sister. So I have The Girl in the Stars coming, and I have Red Sister coming. So fingers crossed, this is Red Sister. I can start reading. Let's see. Ah. Every time.
Bad luck.
Oh, what is it? Oh, it's The Girl in the Stars. I mean, I'm happy, but I can't start reading yet. Oh, but that is a sexy book. Ooh. Yes. I got the American version, but I might have to get the, if I love this series, I might have to get the UK hardback as well. That is a sexy book. But I can't start reading it yet. Oh, pretty simple. Under the dust jacket as well. That's nice, actually, the spine. Well, guys, we'll check back in when I finally get Red Sister. But this is a gorgeous book, and I'm so hyped to get to it. So, check back in later. Bye!
違うよ。
あ、じゃあね。I have yet to receive Red Sister. This smile is to keep from crying. The one book that I am so hyped to read is taking its goddamn time getting here. And Hopefully it will be here shortly after I publish this video or upload this video, and then Hannah and I can start our buddy read finally. Thank you for waiting, Hannah. Bless your heart. And I will have her channel linked down below as well. Okay, on to the Read-A-Thon. So the Read-A-Thon that I am doing this month is the Olympic Games Read-A-Thon. One of my really good friends, the Wild Sasha, is a host for this, and that's what brought my attention to it. I will also link her down below, so go check her out. And this is based on the Percy Jackson series. So for this read-along, you don't have to have read the Percy Jackson series. I have read, I think, all but one of the books. I haven't read the final one, but Sasha hasn't read any, and she's made it clear that if you haven't, you are more than welcome to join. So I'm going to extend that invitation to all of you if you haven't heard of this read-a-thon before my video. So the Percy Jackson series is about a bunch of kids who are demigods because their parents made babies with a Greek god. So in order to participate in the read-a-thon, you can take a quiz to determine what Greek god you come from. And so I took the quiz and I come from Athena, which I ain't mad about. I love Athena. Each Greek god has its own prompts that you must follow. There are 5 main challenges and then 4 advanced challenges for if you finish those original 5. So let's go ahead through the Athena challenges. The first one is, Athena favors those who seek knowledge beyond all. Read a book that is out of your comfort zone. So for this, I have chosen to insert the Blackout buddy read books. So White Fragility and White Rage, those are both out of my comfort zone because, as you can tell by my shelves behind me, I'm sure I am a fiction reader. I don't read nonfiction often at all, and these 2 books are very important nonfiction books, so those are definitely out of my comfort zone. So these 2 books will be serving for this prompt. Number 2 is read a book that features a school. So this is going to be Red Sister by Mark Lawrence, my buddy read with my friend Hannah over on Cozy Reads. This book is about a girl who goes to assassin nun school. Need I say more? Prompt number 3 is read the longest book on your TBR. As a fantasy reader, this is like 1,000+ pages, and I was not happy that Athena had this prompt associated with her, but the organizers did give you an out, and they said that you could insert the buddy read for this into any prompt that you have. So I inserted the buddy read Lovely War for this prompt because I have a lot of books on this TBR and they're all something I really want to get to, so 1,000+ pages on top of those books, nah. And The Lovely War seems interesting. I don't know much about the premise, but I know it's like a historical fiction, and I'm not usually into those, but ever since The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo completely proved me wrong about my thought process on historical fiction, I'm way open to it. So I'm looking forward to diving into this one. Prompt number 4. Athena is a favorite among gods and mortals alike. Read a book by your favorite author. So for this one, it was a little difficult because my favorite authors are coming out with books, but like later this year. So for this one, I decided to go with Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Jay Kristoff is one of my favorite authors because of the Nevernight series. I love it so much. It's not on my shelves behind me, but I own it in America. And I haven't read any of his other books, so I am very interested in seeing if I love his other books just as much. So this one is my answer for number 4. Number 5. After he betrayed her trust, Athena branded Daedalus with a mark that looked like a partridge. Read a book with a bird on the cover. The book that I've chosen does not have a beak on the cover, but it does have a bunch of feathers. And that is Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. And I've been listening to this audiobook on the way to work. I'm about 70% through. This is already June, so don't come for me. It's allowed. but I am loving it. It's so fucking funny. If you like British humor, you've got to read this book. But I'm like cackling on my way to and from work. But this is my commute book that I listen to when I ride my bike to and from work right now, and it's got feathers on the cover, so I'm counting Good Omens as my number 5. So the advanced challenges for Athena are 1. Sword and Shield, a book that features a character you wouldn't get along with. And for this one, I'm going to put Dorian Gray, the picture of Dorian Gray. I've mentioned this in previous videos, so I'll put a card at the top, but I actually really enjoy reading classics and Victorian literature. I read a lot of them in school, but I haven't been in the mood to read them for the last couple years, and I kind of want to get back into it. So I've been really interested in Dorian Gray, and he is a very vain character who he is his own demise. So I feel like he and I would not get along, but I can't wait to read his story. The second advanced challenge is Capture the Flag, one of your most anticipated books. This is going to be Rage of Dragons. If you've been on my channel before, you're probably like, Taylor, fucking read it. Rage of Dragons and N.K. Jemisin are probably tied for the 2 books that I keep talking about wanting to read, and I just haven't been able to make it happen. So this month, I really want to make Rage of Dragons and N.K. Jemisin. That was later on my list, but fuck it, I'll add it here. This advanced challenge has 2 books, Rage of Dragons and N.K. Jemisin. These both are really anticipated reads of mine, and I want to get at least one of them read this month. Advanced challenge number 3 is Pegasus Riding, a book published within the last 5 years. Now for this one, I have put Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. So if you've been here from the beginning of my channel, you'll know that I read the Remnant Chronicles at the beginning of this year as kind of like an easy read, what I thought would be an easy, breezy read, and I loved them so much. I gave every book 5 stars. And this is a kind of spin-off from that series. I do have it physically, which makes me very happy, and it's gorgeous. So I can't wait to dive back into this world. I'm hoping that I'll love it. I've seen good reviews and I've seen not so good reviews, so fingers crossed that I'm on the good reviews side. But this was published within the last 5 years, and I'm hoping to get to it. The final advanced challenge is number 4, Monster Fighting, a book featuring magical creatures. And so for this one, I'm thinking of reading A Natural History of Dragons. Now this was inspired by the same host who inspired me to do the Read-A-Thon, Sasha, the Wild Sasha. She loves this book and loves this series, and she's really got me interested in it. So it's a series about a woman who studied dragons. So she's writing a book after her adventures, kind of chronicling them. And it's supposed to be really entertaining, very funny, and I'm all for that. Plus, dragons. So that is the end of the Read-A-Thon TBR and the 2 buddy reads that I plan to do. There's no way I'm going to read all of these books, but I'm going to finish up with the last couple that, if a miracle happens and I can read 1,000 pages a day, I can read these. But here we go. I'm currently reading The Sword of Kaigen right now. I wanted to read this for my Asian readathon, but I didn't quite get there, so I'm hoping to finish this in the next couple days. So far, I'm really loving it. It's very based in Japanese culture, but there are a couple things thrown in that seem to be from other Asian cultures, so I'm really intrigued to see where this goes. The next one that is not associated with the readathon is Tomo-chan wa Ononoko. If you've watched my channel, you know that I try to read a book in Japanese every month because I'm trying to increase my reading ability in Japanese. So I was supposed to read number 2 for last month for the Asian readathon, but I didn't get to it. So I'm hoping to read number 2 this month. And last, but finally not least, I have my Retroreads Booktube challenge. If you're not aware, on my channel, I'll link a card I keep saying link a card. I will put a card up above for that video, but I created a challenge on my channel where I read Booktube favorites from back before I joined Booktube. So I have this cup here where I have put 15 books that were published before 2015 that were popular on Booktube, and I pull one out every month. So I'm going to pull a new one out for this month, and I'm going to finally read The Name of the Wind, which I pulled out in April. Now, I did start reading it in April, but I didn't have time to finish it. And then in May, Fukuoka went into lockdown and all of the libraries closed, so I couldn't retake out the book. But now the libraries are back open, so I will be reading The Name of the Wind from April. And, what's next? I will be reading An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. Ignore my nasty ass handwriting. Okay, I was actually really excited for this one. This is the one I'm the most hyped for. It does have a high page count, so we know that this TBR is already unreasonable. But I will prioritize this one because I really don't want to fall behind on this challenge. So hopefully I will be reading An Ember in the Ashes this month. That concludes my June TBR. Pray for me. Please comment down below if you're participating in the Olympic Read-A-Thon or if you're participating in the Blackout Buddy Read. I would like to know what you're reading this month and what you think about what I'm reading this month. Thank you for sticking around for this long. I know this video is way longer than planned, but hopefully you enjoyed it. And I'm gonna go for